Hello, my name is Madison Chambers, and I'm doing my final project on the movie A Taxi Driver. And before I begin, I would like to apologize for any mispronunciations I have. I'm trying my best, but I know I messed up somewhere. To start, I would like to go over some background knowledge. This movie is based on the events of the Gwangju Uprising. The Gwangju Uprising started on May 18, 1980 and lasted until May 27, 1980. It took place in Gwangju, South Korea. An estimated 600 people were killed, but it was most likely more. Also known as the Gwangju Democratization Struggle, May 18th Gwangju Democratization Movement, and the May 18th Democratic Uprising. The origins of the protest are believed to have begun as a result of the Republic of Korea's first president, Syngman Rhee, an anti-communist who continued to grow more repressive towards his political opposition and the country's citizens. Rhee was ousted in the early 1960s after almost 18 years of ruling. During this time, the country was briefly ruled by a parliamentary system. A military coup was then led by Park Chung-hee in 1961, who also repressed freedom in Korea and virtually made it a dictatorship during his 18 years of office. Park was assassinated on October 26, 1979. Choi Kyu-ho was named president with Chun Do-han as the chief of Korean intelligence agency. Chun declared martial law in May of 1980, which led to nationwide protests against military rule. One of the most famous was the Gwangju Uprising, which was started by students from Cheonam National University. The university students were protesting against the suppression of academic freedom and were then beaten, shot, killed, and raped by government forces. In response, Gwangju citizens took up arms and began joining the protest. Violence from riot police and paratroopers was used against the protesters to get them to back down. However, it had the opposite effect. More and more citizens continued to join. Government troops ended up defeating the armed civilians and putting an end to the protest, but the uprising paved the way to change in South Korea. Now let's talk about the plot of the movie. This movie follows a German reporter named Jürgen Hinspeter and a Korean taxi driver that went by the name Kim Se-buk. Kim Se-buk was a taxi driver from Seoul who agreed to drive Hinspeter to Gwangju, where protests advocating for democracy were taking place. The Korean government had been censoring any news about the events that were happening in Gwangju, and Hinspeter wanted to show the world the truth. This movie followed their journey to Gwangju and showed their interactions with Gwangju citizens and protesters. It ended with Hinspeter and Se-buk escaping Gwangju, then with Hinspeter leaving Korea and sharing the footage with the rest of the world. Release date. This movie was released in the United States on August 11, 2017. It had a budget of approximately $13.8 million and earned a total of $88.7 million in South Korea. Awards. It earned the Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Leading Actress, the Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Film, the Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Music, the Grand Bell Award for Best Film, the Blue Dragon Film Award Audience Choice, and Grand Bell Award for Best Planning. Director. The director for this movie was Jong Hoon. He was born on May 4th, 1975, and is 46 years old. He attended Seoul National University and received a Bachelor in Visual Design. He also directed the films Rough Cut, Secret Reunion, and The Frontline. Some of the cast includes Kang Ho-sung, who played Kim Se-buk, the taxi driver who drove Jürgen Hinspeter to Gwangju, Thomas Kretschmann, who played Jürgen Hinspeter, the foreign reporter from Germany, Hae Jin-yu, who played Wang Tae-sul, a Gwangju taxi driver who helped Se-buk and Hinspeter, and Ryu Jun-yeol, who played Ju Se-yue, a university student who acted as a... What I learned. Other than the history of the Gwangju Uprising and its causes, I learned how willing people are to protect each other. After seeing other citizens and fellow protesters get shot, beaten, killed, and arrested, they continue to protest. The citizens of Gwangju stuck together in a time of need and never strayed from their beliefs. They cared for each other and looked out for each other. They even managed to change Kim Sabuk, who was solely focused on the money and arriving back home to his daughter, to someone who led a bunch of taxis into a firing squad to save those who had been shot and the bodies of the deceased. All of their determination and sacrifice led the way to change in Korea. My opinion. I thought this was a beautiful and excellent movie. The movie hooked you from the beginning as we followed Kim Sabuk and try to understand his story. We sympathize with him, but we also start to see the protesters' stories and struggles as well. In all, this is a heartwarming and heart-wrenching story that would definitely bring you a tear. To end my final presentation, I listed the sources I used to help me gather information. Thank you for listening. I highly enjoyed the semester and I wish you all the best.